My guest on the show today is Alfonso Cuadra. We will be talking about land development. We will be talking about multifamily investing in Canada and the US, as well as how to underwrite deals. You won't want to miss this.
Hey, I'm Alfonso Cuadra, the godfather of real estate, and the highest and best use for me is multifamily. It's all about that lifestyle, baby.
Thanks for tuning into the Highest and Best Use for Real Estate podcast, where we talk techniques to optimize your land, structure, skill sets, and time, as well as the highest and best use principles to make your business more profitable, productive, and efficient. I'm your host, Ryan Carr, reminding you that good deals are found, great deals are created. And my guest on the show today, Alfonso Cuadra. He is born in El Salvador, currently from Ottawa. He is previously Keyspire, now Wealth Genius, and he's also an active investor. So, my man, woo! Thank you so much for being here today. I love it.
Hey, good to be here in your studio. This is incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
At 24, I was negative $1 million. Okay? So, doing all of my research and reading about successful people, I learned that I was a consumer.
Right.
And all of my money that I was making, even though I was doing well, it was money in, money out.
Money in, money
21
out.
years
Yeah.
old. How old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay, because you look 21. I didn't want to say, remember when you're 21.
Yep.
Well, that's good. Youthful.
Last week. No.
But, 21 years old. Remember when you were 21, if someone would have, if you would have had a successful business, that money's coming in, at 21, maybe or maybe not, but you would have spent the money, And that's what I did. I spent all the money and no reserves, didn't even think about reserves or, potential downturns or, I was caught with my pants down.
Yeah, you're just riding the wave.
That's it. You know what? Warren Buffett says it best.
Yep.
When the wave goes out, you find out who's been swimming naked.
That's right.
And so what I discovered, I was a consumer. And then I saw that there's a difference between having money and being wealthy. And I realized that that's what I wanted to pursue is wealth. And what I noticed that all of the wealthiest people that I had read about up until that point, they all own real estate and they all own commercial real estate. No one was bragging about their triplex or fourplex. And so that's when I started. I started right away. My first deal, we're talking about 2001, 2002. And my first deal was a duplex that I converted into a triplex. My second deal was a 7-unit apartment building. My third deal was a 10-unit apartment building. And I just went through this massive transformation. And I loved real estate because it could give me the freedom. And I love the apartment building space because it was this beautiful space where you're not as affected from what's happening in the market, right? Because ultimately, people will always have to live somewhere.
Yeah, it's the necessity business. That's it.
That's it. And so, that was inspiring. I transformed my life. I went from having the consumer mindset to having more of an investor mindset. By the time the next downturn came, which was 2009, I was ready. Right, I was ready to take massive action.
Yep.
And that's what I did. So from 2009 to, I guess, fast forward to 2020, I grew the portfolio to, 500 or 600 doors. And, real estate all across Canada. And then 2020 is when I really exploded. Yeah. And I took that portfolio to the next level. I mean, from April to August of 2020, this is when I took the most action. We bought the most amount of real estate in that short little window, almost like if real estate was going out of style.
Yeah.
And out of any time in history of the history of my company. And so what I realized is those spikes in my business have come from downturns. Right. And when downturns happen, I'm ready to move, right? And so back in 2021, we decided to, we looked at our entire portfolio and we looked at the bottom 20% and we're like, these are the ugly babies, the underperforming, the pain in the neck type properties.
Yeah, maintenance, poor cash flow.
Yeah, and we liquidated. We did a massive liquidity event in our business, and then we started to level up into newer properties. We just closed on a 60-unit brand new apartment building. So now we're moving into more beautiful brand new properties, apartment buildings, Canada and the U.S. And so ultimately, in a nutshell, we are now in that same situation right now. Again, 2023, and I am excited. It's like the opportunity. You can almost, you can smell it in the air. You can smell it. The opportunity is here, and what I will say, and I don't mind saying it on this show. Okay, so you can go back and watch this show. The next 6 to 12 months are going to be shown as the time where we saw the most opportunity. But in the next 5 years, you will see the biggest wealth transfer in history. And not just because of the downturn in the economy, recession, but baby boomers are retiring. They're offloading their portfolios in a market that, they maybe can't get top dollars. Their kids don't want anything to do with the real estate. We are set up for success. People like you, people like me, we can take massive opportunities and become the people, I know you're successful and I'm successful, but we're talking about mega success. We're talking about, redonkulous, success.
So where do you take the portfolio? So how many units are you sitting on now?
So I had to liquidate a lot, but we're back to about a 600.
Okay. So then where do you see the market? Like if we're going to be crazy wealth transfer in the next 5 years, right? Yeah. You're at 600 units now. In the short term and in the long term, where do you take this portfolio to get that?
For us, it's about 7,500 doors.
Okay.
But we're not buying doors for the sake of doors.
Right.
We're buying clean and lean.
Yes.
We're buying profitable doors. I think about the 4 Ps. The first one is people, right? We need to create a good team, to have a good team in place where we can take on more. And we've already built that team. A lot of people wait until they get there. And then they're like, oh, when I get the business, then I'll hire the people. Yeah. We're set up right now to take on 7,500 doors. So I went into the future and I brought it to the present. I'm operating as if I'm already there.
Sure. So you'd be operating heavy. Like it would be impacting your margin currently.
Yes.
Knowing that like, hey, this is where we're going, but right now.
But also you have systems, right? So the next one is process.
Yes.
Right. So the good people and a good process and a good product. So the product that we're going after is a newer product, right? So this is not how I started my career. I'm the value add guy. I was going in there fighting with prostitutes. We were going in there fighting syringes. I mean, machete fights. You name it. I've seen it all in this space all across Canada.
Machete fight.
Yeah, machete fights. Yeah. Trust me. That's another. We'll talk about that. But all of the craziness I've put in my blood, sweat, and tears to be in a position where now I'm going after lean and clean. So, within a good, solid team, they feel solid. I'm able to attract good people because they feel good about where they work at. We have good process, so technology can help a lot. Systems. The product has to be, exquisite, and that's what we're going after. Like you're going to be able to look at all our properties and say, yes, those are Alfonso's properties.
Okay. So let's talk about your team for a sec. Yeah. How many people would you currently employ?
About 15 people.
But 15 people?
Yeah. We're not talking about subcontractors as well. So we have a lot of subcontractors that work off-site, supers, caretakers. Yep. And so, part of our process is to go after 16 units and up. Yep. Basically because that's when the property starts to have the ability to afford a caretaker on site. And for us, that is the key. Having a caretaker on site, that means that we can manage in-house, right? So we can manage a property from that's in Halifax from Ottawa, as long as we're managing the caretaker on site.
Because the boots on the ground is yours.
Yeah. Yes.
It's your. It's not, oh yeah, I'll get to it tomorrow.
Exactly.
It's like, we're there today.
That's it. Yeah. So that's part of the team. So we have an acquisitions person, and we're developing that department, massive deal flow, underwriting different deals. We have bookkeeping and accounting department. Yep. That's important. I mean, without that, like you're going to be.
How do you know what you're making
buried
losing?
in papers? Yeah, you're going to be buried in paper under paper. We have someone reporting to our investors, communicating with our investors. A consistent basis. I mean, a lot of people talk about OPM, other people's money, but when you get that money, you never hear from that person again. You don't know what the property's doing. Mm-hmm. People need to have an amazing experience. Ryan, I walked in here, and there's an experience about the things that you do. Even the way that you set up this podcast, it's an experience, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, whoa, the water on the, they got the book here. You got to give people an experience so they come back, mm-hmm. right? Without that experience, they'll invest once, but then you won't have a long-lasting, scalable business where people are just like, I love what you guys are doing. I have investors that have been with me for like 20 years.
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
And so I want to nurture that, mm-hmm. right? So people, process, the product, and then lastly, profits. I see so many people buying real estate just for the sake of buying real estate. Yeah. I'm not in that business. Everything that I do needs to make sense and it needs to be profitable. There needs to be enough reserves. We need to have money there to get us through the weather the storm. Mm-hmm. And so, we're focused on, making really good decisions and not just making a decision just for the sake of buying real estate because there's investors knocking on our door.
It's the vanity of it.
Yeah, for
sure. So many people do that. I got 100 doors. They don't make any money, but I have 100 doors. Yeah. I'm like, why are you doing that?
I know. You're spinning your wheels, right? In 2021, our investors were like, what's going on? We're like, guys, this is not the time right now. We bought a few things, but it's hard not to get caught up in the FOMO. Mm-hmm. And as you know, FOMO, fear of missing out, the most powerful force in the universe, right?
Fear.
Gets people to do dumb stuff. I won't say the other word, but people do dumb stuff, hurt themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And so I almost feel like I was getting caught up in it, right? Oh, I got to buy a property. Everyone was like, I've never had so many investors, but I'm sorry, mm-hmm. right? We got these two projects, that's all I can give you. We're liquidating right now. Yeah. Come see me in 2023.
So how do people protect themselves? Knowing that we've kind of gone through a pretty tough 12, 18 months with mm-hmm. interest rates going up, prices coming down, we got a lot happening. Yeah. How do people protect themselves from downside risk?
Okay. Number one, stress test your own deals, right? There's a reason why, the bank is stress testing. They don't want people to get in trouble. And if you stress test your own deals, you ask yourself, the simple question, like fixed or variable. That's a simple question. People ask me that all the time. What should I be doing now? It depends on you, right? It depends on you. I just got a $10 million mortgage. Mm-hmm. That you better believe that's going to be fixed, because I can't afford up and down.
The swing.
Yeah, I can't afford it. You know what I mean? It will take me out. But I just got $1 million mortgage on a property. Well, if I had to carry it at 20%, I could. Mm-hmm. And so everyone needs to understand what's the line for them? Like what's the worst case scenario? And what would happen in the worst case scenario? What would they do, right? And so you want to make sure that in a case of I buy this property, what's the worst case scenario? Interest rates go to 15%. Unfathomable, right?
Can you imagine?
Unfathomable. But if they do, what are you going to do? Right? If they do, what are you going to do?
People are going to go, here's the keys.
Exactly. And so you need to be in a position where the worst time to sell, Ryan, is when you have to. Mm-hmm. So never put yourself in a position where you have to sell.
I've got a sign on my wall somewhere around here that says, don't become a motivated seller.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. Because the second you are a motivated seller, you lose. Yeah. And that's just the game, right? And so don't get caught up in the hype and buying because other people are telling you not to buy. And don't get caught up in the hype where people are telling you right now, don't buy because you're scared and everyone else is scared.
So let's do a case study then.
Yeah.
How do you underwrite a deal? Let's do a real example.
Okay. So I'm going to look at the deal,
Okay.
and I'm going to ask for the numbers, right? I want to see the numbers, and they may or may not be true. But at this point, that's
Probably
all I
not.
got.
They're probably not
Yeah,
true.
Yeah. But I'm going to underwrite my deal, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to have a vacancy. I'm going to have a vacancy allowance. I'm going to have a proper repairs and maintenance budget.
Realistic.
Yeah, realistic repairs and maintenance budget. And here's the key. People confuse capital expenditures with repairs and maintenance, right? They're like, oh, the roof needs to be changed in 5 years. Oh, I'll just grab it for my repairs and maintenance. That's not how it works.
It's CapEx.
Repairs and maintenance. Yeah, the repairs and maintenance are to do the every day-to-day, change a doorknob, change a light bulb, got to, fix this little paint here and there. It's not to fix the roof.
Yeah.
And so when people, they don't do their numbers correctly, all of a sudden something happens and now that has to come out of their pocket, or they don't have it, or they have to steal from repairs and maintenance, and all of a sudden they can't maintain the property, and then it goes down. So proper repairs and maintenance budget. I like to have a per door budget depending on the age of the property. So if the property is, it's an older property, I would say $750 a door is healthy. CapEx is dependent on the property, right?
Sure.
Roof, windows, foundation, things need to be fixed. I'm going to negotiate out from the purchase price, or I'm going to bring equity into the deal that will make sure that I take care of all those things right away. So I'm not waiting for 5 years.
Yeah.
And so repairs and maintenance, here's the next one. Property management. Everyone drops the ball on property management.
Yeah.
They call the property manager, they get a quote of 5%. It's never 5%.
It's never 5%.
It's never 5%. Now, if you're playing with bigger numbers, if there's a caretaker on site, then I see how they can charge you 5%.
Sure, but there's
then
a line
you got to
item
pay
for
for
the
the
caretaker.
caretaker.
That's
Yes,
right. Yeah.
of course.
You know what else people miss? I find they miss
Yeah.
HST.
On the property management.
On the property management.
On everything.
Well, on everything. But I mean, like on residential real estate, your HST is not an input tax credit, which means you eat it because you're the end of the road.
Yeah.
People go, 5% plus HST if it's 5, but it's never 5.
So I use 10.
Yeah.
Just
10's all in. Yeah.
That's it. It's all in. And then but you know what? It's going to make my numbers look bad. Yeah. Like why are you living in this fairy tale land, right?
You're only cheating yourself.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. And so of course, there's HST on everything that you're gonna have to take care of, and you'll have to eat it, like you said, because we're in residential real estate, and so all of these things people don't take into consideration. Then once we establish a gross operating expenses, right? So we have a gross operating income, we subtract the vacancies. Vacancies is also something that people play with a lot. Add a few points. So if it's 2%, add 1%. You know what? There's gonna be a time where it's gonna go the other way. So you want to be safer than sorry.
Yeah.
And so now we have a gross operating income. You'll add your laundry, your parking or whatever, and then you'll subtract the expenses. You get your net operating income, your NOI, which it does determine the value of your property. But mostly now people are focused on the debt coverage ratio because of where the interest rates are. But ultimately, your debt at the end of everything, you should have positive cash flow, or have a reasonable plan on how to get to positive cash flow. And so, as simple as that is, and as we've described it, people sometimes they start sharpening the pencil,
Yeah.
And it's like, you said at the beginning of the show, you said, deals are not found, they're created, right? But they also cannot be manipulated into a deal, right? By sharpening the pencil. And so, people get into trouble, and they speculate a lot. And so for me, there's no speculation, right? So I'm gonna look at the worst case scenario. Every single time I ask myself, what is the worst case scenario here? And am I okay with that? And if I'm okay with that, I move forward.
Yeah. Let's go tactical. So NOI is important. Vacancy is important. If you have people or tenants in your units that are affecting your NOI, what would 3 strategies or one solid strategy be to reasonably request those people to go? And how would you do it?
First thing, what province are we in?
Let's
or
say
what
Ontario.
state? What state were we in?
My next question is interprovincial.
Every province has very different laws, right?
My next question is interprovincial.
But
Ontario.
one of my favorite ones that I've heard is the state of Arkansas.
Yeah.
Did you know this?
I don't know what you're going to say.
If you don't pay your rent, you go to jail.
Oh shit! Debtor's prison. It's like Dubai.
Yeah. So if you don't pay your rent, you go to jail. And anyways, I'm not saying to go invest in Arkansas. Yeah. I just thought it was kind of interesting. Fun fact. But let's say we are in Ontario, right? You
cash for keys, obviously.
Yeah. Well, cash for keys.
But
I don't want people to make assumptions that they're gonna be able to do that. I've seen it so many times. There was a building in Kingston, and one of my buddies, he bought it really underperforming. I mean, Kingston 2-bedroom, 2,400. People are paying 600. Oh, crazy! Oh my, crazy!
What a lift!
And he
said,
"If
you can get it,"
and he says, "I'm going to offer everybody $40,000."
Sure.
I'm like, "Are you sure?" Half of those people are. If they had 40,000, it still wouldn't do anything for them. Because they don't have credit. They're not the type of people that can go and buy a house or. And so that's exactly what happened. He offered $40,000 to everyone. Yeah. Only half took it. Yeah. But it's still a win, right? Because the half that he did manage to create new income, it more than paid for itself.
Definitely.
Right?
Oh yeah.
But
you got like a $2,000 lift.
Yeah. But the thing is, of course,
it's massive.
Yeah. But I think that the mistake that most people make is assuming that they can get everybody out. I'll just do cash for keys, and ultimately it's the renoviction, right? The renoviction, you still have to do cash for keys. The renovation is just
it's temporary.
It's temporary, but they're allowed to come back.
That's right. Right at the same rent.
Yeah. So, and then there's the compassion side of things, right? I've been in deals where it's like, you know what? I just let this one unit be. Poor lady's not doing anything. She can't go anywhere. Has no family. And just let it be. Let time take its course. Right. Yeah. And it does eventually. Right.
I had a tenant recently too. Same thing.
Yeah.
I pretty much had him cornered through his own situation. Nothing to do with me. Through his own.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You got me." And I was like, well, I don't feel good about that. How about we meet halfway?
Yeah.
Right? And he was like, thank you so much.
Yeah. That's kind of...
You feel better about that.
That's kind of like, I mean, it's not I don't know. It's just the way I do my business. I mean, I was one of those people, right? I was homeless, right? And it's like, I don't want to put anybody in a bad place. And I always make sure that people are going into a better place. I've been in situations where I've looked for places for people. I've helped them relocate or move to another one of our units, which is better. Sometimes you go into some of these properties and the people are not living in great conditions. You got mold. You got it's not livable. And so there's that factor too. This is like a biohazard what you got going on here. We got a fresh unit. You have to pay more rent, but you'll be safe and you'll be healthy. We're here to help you. So that's the kind of approach that I take. But one time, I looked at this one unit. This is about 20 years ago, and we're looking at this unit, and this lady was older lady, and paying really under market rents, and she's smoking like a chimney. And I'm like, you know what? I just let her be. Eventually, things will happen, and she won't be here with us. Not that I would want that for someone, but that's just what it is. Someone that smokes, eventually, that's what happens. That's what I've heard, right? She's still there.
Really?
Pushing 100, smoking like a chimney.
Oh my gosh!
So if they tell you smoking, whatever people are saying about you get cancer or whatever, I don't know if I can believe that.
She's the one in a million, right?
She may, and you know what? Good for her. You know what I mean? And again, she's paying under market rents. Of course, I do my increases, but I just let her be, right? Because sometimes it's you just got to be a human. Right? ultimately, multiple different ways of getting someone out, right? You got to, most people go try to do the renovation and all these things. It comes back to just human interaction, right? Even if you have no intentions of increasing rents or whatever, there could be people that are affecting the livelihood of everyone around them, right?
The locker room tenant.
Yeah,
they're just happy to be there, and everybody's good, and
No, but I'm just saying, like, it could be affecting in a negative way.
Or that too.
Yeah.
The opposite.
And so sometimes you got to get someone out.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to wait and put my life in the hands of the landlord tenant board, And so I like to resolve issues before it even gets there.
Yeah.
Right. And if I see someone's not paying their rent or they're causing a disturbance, I'm like, okay. And my staff knows this. We need to act now, figure out what the person wants and get them out. Yeah. Whatever it takes. We're not going to wait 3 months, 4 months. Because, you could be sitting there for a year not collecting rent.
No.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's the reality, right? I'll give you a fun story. So we had this tenant, one of our buildings. We inherited the tenant. The tenant was selling drugs in the building. We called the police. This guy is selling drugs.
Oh, businessman.
Yeah, they're like, well, we can't. There's nothing we could do. We had this is like nothing we do. So he's on. I don't know. He's got some sort of chemical imbalance. He's on WSIB or not WSIB, ODSP.
ODSP, yeah.
And he's yelling at everyone, death threats. And so we called his worker, and we're like, this person is not. It's a danger to himself and other people. They're like, well, there's nothing we could do, and we're like, what do you want us to do? I'm like, this is your people. Like, help this guy.
This is your case.
Yeah. And they're like, well, there's nothing we could do. We call the police. And we're like, we have a person here, with giving death threats to other tenants. Other tenants are scared for their life. They're like, oh, there's nothing we could do. We called every possible government body that you can find. If no one can help us, And then one day, he forgets his dog and his ferret in the unit. He left for about a week and a half. We called animal control. Ryan, they came in. Boom! Everyone get down. Boom, 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 boom. They took this guy away in handcuffs. So, moral of the story, and he never came back. He's gone, like completely gone from the unit.
Oh,
they came and cleaned, saved the ferret, and the dog. So, moral of the story, in this country, you know what? You can mess with humans, death threats, and all that. But with the second you a ferret or an animal, be careful.
That's it.
I'm just playing. I'm playing around, really. I'm just playing around. But that's what it was,
Oh my God. Okay, so let's jump to interprovincial investing. You've got properties all across Canada. What makes that highest and best use for you? Because it sounds like it's a strategy you actively employ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I look for secondary markets that are supported by major markets.
Such as?
For example, Kentville, just outside of Halifax. On Pryor, just outside of Ottawa. So I stay away from one-horse towns, right? Markets with only one industry.
Sure, mining.
Yeah. Or whatever, because the second that's gone, boom, you have a ghost town. And so, I like secondary markets because I know that Canada's growing. And as you know, 500,000 people every single year for the next 25 years. That means that, these cities in Canada are going to grow outwards, right? And so I look for good cash flowing apartment buildings or opportunities outside of major markets, right? Or secondary or tertiary markets that are supported by a major market.
What makes those good deals? Like why do you do that?
Why do I go to secondary markets?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, because the cap rates are higher in secondary markets.
Sure.
So, there's going to be more of an upside. The property's cash flowing from the beginning, and then there's that opportunity that the cities are growing out, right? For example, we were investing in Hamilton 20 years ago. we were. I remember going on foreclosure tour buses, right? And everything's boarded up, but Hamilton is so close in proximity to the GTA. I'm like, this is not even logical that this market would be depressed, right? So those are the kind of things that I look at. I look at economic factors. I look at my goals and where we're going, and I want to make sure that every decision that we make is in alignment with my goals. Mm-hmm. I also have lifestyle goals, right? So, I don't take on every single opportunity. I'm very picky with the opportunities that I take on because I'm past that stage where I need to prove anything, right? I'm like, I've made my money. I've been in there. I've been in the trenches, and I love spending most of my time teaching people how to do that. Mm-hmm. And so I like the lean and clean type properties, the buy and hold type properties. And so those are in alignment with my goals. Mm-hmm. And so I make sure every decision that I make is in alignment with my goal. And so the beautiful thing about multifamily is that you have the ability to manage from far. So you're not stuck to Ontario. You don't have to go just to Southern Ontario or Eastern Ontario or Sudbury or Timbuktu. You have this entire North America, right? Because, once I look at something over here in Saskatchewan that looks interesting. Oh, I'll look at something in Alberta. Okay. I may jump into Tennessee, look at an opportunity, mm-hmm. or Irvine, California. It really is irrelevant. There's opportunities everywhere.
Sure. And
that's what I love about multifamily. Multifamily gives you the lifestyle. It gives you the ability to invest, where you're going to get the highest return on investment, not just fixated or locked into one geographical space.
And Are you primarily looking for lift? Or are you just looking for something turnkey where you don't have to get in there and do too much work?
Where I'm at, I need a little bit of both. Okay. Right? I need to be able to improve the management over time. And just by me owning the property, mm-hmm. I know that our team we're so efficient, we will automatically improve the performance of this property, right? And I don't right now. I'm not looking for too much of a value add. Mm-hmm. I just if I do, I'd rather do more construction. Okay. Right. So we're doing a lot of land development. Mm-hmm. We're building a 52 unit in Brockville. Like I'd rather just go from scratch.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. So your 52 unit in Brockville, where did you start with in terms of the process, and how long have you had that land?
So the land, I bought it, and it's under contract right now. We're working on the architect and everything.
Yep.
It's going to close. So for the past 2 years, I've gone new build, right? Okay. So new build apartment buildings.
Yep.
So my strategy was.
So there's more than just this one.
Yeah.
In the shoot.
Yeah. Right. So my strategy, lean and clean. There's something beautiful when you buy a brand new building. So I was buying them from these builders, right? Mm-hmm. They build it, I buy it, I'm paying a premium, but I know that I have this beautiful honeymoon period, low maintenance,
Isn't that
the
nice?
Best tenants. Oh, it's
no
great.
No problems. Just,
it's everything's under warranty, right? It's just incredible. And I fell in love with that because that is in alignment with my goals.
Right.
And so
you get great tenants too.
Oh, the best. I mean, we just closed on a 60 unit apartment building, all brand new, right? Brand new. Like we're the first owner of that building. And so ultimately with that same, on that same philosophy, it's hard to find them, find the inventory. So we started to do our own, right? And so this project here will be the first one that we are buying the land. We're going to get site plan approval and then build. Mm-hmm. And with MLI Select, I mean, there's so many financing opportunities right now, mm-hmm. that it just makes it easier for someone to build than to buy something in mm-hmm. that's beat up in Timbuktu or whatever.
How'd you find the dirt? How did you find the dirt?
Oh, yeah, it was just on Realtor.ca.
Just open market?
Yeah, open market. We're just like, there's a land opportunity, can build 52 units. I'm like, I'm in.
Wow. Did it come with any studies, or you're just like,
no, it's all rezoned.
Oh, site plan approved, done.
No site plan approval.
Okay.
The site plan approval is pending on the architect, the permits,
Right.
and all that, but
Mhm.
it's ready to go.
Okay. And then how did you determine that was going to be a good deal for you based on all the fees and the costs, engineering, construction? How do you break that down?
So ultimately, we're doing MLI Select.
Yep.
Right.
Because it's a better rate.
Yeah. So we got an after completion appraisal based on the 52 units of 14 million, or around 14 million. Cost to build about 10, right? With the land and the whole kit and caboodle.
Oh, yeah.
We're not doing it's not a luxury, just simple finishings and
mid-range.
just like lean and clean. And
I like that slogan, lean and clean. it just says so much. When someone says lean and clean, it's like right down the middle, simple.
That's it.
I love
That's
that.
it. Yeah, we're not doing granite countertops.
Yeah.
You know, there's this time where you can over renovate and never get the money back. And so so what we're trying to do is get a MLI Select $10 million mortgage. And so at that point, we'll have to put out we'll be out of pocket permits, architectural, drawings, your plumbing, your electrical, and all that, and permits, and securities to the township, and then we'll go for financing.
Build
right.
it.
So I think Ontario has made it really easy right now for people to build, and obviously that's the only way to fix the vacancy crisis. It make it easy, make it lucrative for someone to build, and then they'll stop building condos everywhere and they'll start building apartment buildings.
So then what do you say to the people who say it's impossible to build right now, there's no skilled trades, interest rates are up, I can't handle the stress, I'm out? What do you say to those people?
Thank you. If everybody was building, it would be back to 2021.
That's right.
Yeah. So you know what? This is what I tell people: real estate is not for the faint of heart, right? It can be, just be passive. You can invest passively into someone's deal and let them worry about that. But if you really don't have the backbone or the ability to feel a little bit of pressure, you can't make diamonds. Yeah. Right.
No pressure, no diamonds.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you are going to, there is a lot of unknowns. That's the opportunity. Right. I always suggest to people, the very first thing that you can do is get educated, learn, right? This is not a situation where you're going to learn by trial and error. Right. I've had mentors, coaches. So I am taking risks, but I'm taking educated risks.
Who did you train under back
So
in the day?
I went, my first thing was Russ Whitney. Probably, I don't know if you know.
He was
Russ.
before my day, but I've heard the name.
Yeah.
Wasn't he on VHS tape at one point?
Yeah. I was Russ Whitney, Carlton Sheets, and then a local guy in my market.
Yep.
His name was Tony. And before, the marketplace was not...
Tony from Ottawa?
Yeah, Tony from Ottawa.
Tony from Ottawa.
Shout out. And so, the marketplace used to be the classified sections in the newspaper. And so, I saw all these ads, rent to own, call Tony. Properties for rent, call Tony.
Can you imagine? Oh my God. Like so many things are going through my rent to own, call Tony. A guy in a black Cadillac pulls up at your home, right? Oh God.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's kind of how it went. Hard money lender,
That's
call
right.
Tony.
That's right.
Looking for investment, call like the guy. I don't know if he bought like the whole classified section, but I'm like, I gotta call Tony, And so I called him and I said, can you be my mentor and all of this? And he's like, at first he said no, and then I said, I'll make it worth your while, and he gave me some crazy number to shoo me away, but I accepted.
Sure.
And so ultimately I had to invest in myself, and that.
Think about the return on that investment.
It's you can't. I mean, I'm standing here in front of you, right? And to even think about where I came from, living on the streets, to owning real estate across Canada, it's a bit surreal.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel like I'm in a dream. But, you know, I was financially free at 30 years old. I'm 45 right now. And at 30 years old, I was like, what am I going to do with my life, you know? This dream, I was like, I wanted to be financially free. It actually came true. And I was bored. So I made a decision. I said, I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to helping people achieve financial freedom through real estate. And that's what I've done. You know, I started, 15 years ago. I felt the benefits of the mentoring and the coaching that I had and the training. And so that I just wanted to pass that forward, you know. And I started doing training and these workshops. And, at first 2 people showed up.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, but they got the best at it. I gave them everything I had.
It's like one-on-one coaching almost, yeah.
And you wouldn't believe it. I was standing up,
Yeah.
I had to deliver the program.
That's right.
And, and then, 8 people came, and then 10 people came, and then 20 people came, and then hundreds of people came, and then thousands of people. I've created thousands of millionaires in my entire career as an educator in real estate.
Where do you think most of that money was made? Forced appreciation, cash flow, mortgage pay down? Where do you think that money came from?
A lot of that money came from appreciation, but properties that were not bought because of appreciation.
Sure.
Right. But we've seen a massive appreciation in the past, even since 2010 in real estate. And so, but if you bought it because of appreciation, then you would never be able to hold on until you get those paydays.
That's right.
And, so yeah, appreciation has made a lot of millionaires in the past little while. Is that going to be the same moving forward? The philosophy never changed. It never changed, back in 2004, 2002, didn't change in 2009, didn't change in 2020, didn't change in 2021, 2022. It's like you got to stick to the fundamentals, right? And so this is why you got to get educated, right? You got to learn how to underwrite a property. You got to learn how to analyze. You got to you got to learn how to be conservative with your numbers and focus on the numbers. And that way you're going to be an investor. Don't get caught up in how much it's going to be worth later. That's like gravy on the top, like the fact that, in 2 years, everyone made millions in appreciation. Great. Refi, take your money, but reinvest it, because you don't know when another 2020 is going to come. I mean, I don't know. What can we do to spread another pandemic so our real estate goes up?
Goes up another 30% or something. Yeah.
But ultimately, be ready for those opportunities. We are in an opportunity zone right now. We don't know when the bottom is, but who cares? Because if you're buying real estate based on cash flow and you're making sound decisions, it can dip a little. It can continue dipping, and then it's going to come back up because it's a cycle, right? Ultimately, if you're buying real estate, never put yourself in a situation where you may have to sell someday. The appreciation's nice. All of our real estate, we were willing to keep it forever, right? But it happened that we were in a market where people were buying things like crazy, and so we were able to create a liquidity event where we were able to sell the bottom 20% of our portfolio. But if 2021 never happened, we would have been sold.
True.
Right?
That's an interesting perspective. Buy it as if you're going to keep it forever.
Yeah.
Right?
That's how I make every decision.
You would completely change the perspective, as you do.
Yeah.
You would completely change the perspective on the things that you acquire.
Yeah.
You would say, oh, that Century home, you know what? It might be okay now, but in another few years, questionable.
Exactly.
I'm out.
Exactly.
Whereas that beautiful building, 50 units plus, whatever, right? You could say, new roof, new toilets, I'm in.
Yeah. Everything. And by the way, there may come a time where you do sell it because the market is just ripe.
Yeah.
But that's gravy. That's like a bonus. You get to do that, right? It's not a requirement. It's like you don't have to do that.
As we wrap up here, tell everybody about Wealth Genius.
Wealth Genius is, I guess, a combination of my entire life's work, right? And I believe in wealth, and I believe in being smart about it. And so when thinking about the name, you know, I was like, I want wealth to be in the name, but I don't want it to be something corny or something. I need it to be something easy to say and you know, easy for people to talk about. Yeah. And so I broke my screen on my iPhone, and I walk into an Apple store, and I'm like, do you have a Genius around? And the guy's like, yeah, there's a Genius right over there. And across the way, I'm like, are you a genius? The guy's, yeah, I'm a genius.
I'm a Samsung user. Is that what they call them? Are they called geniuses in the stores?
In Apple, yeah.
Are they? That's
hilarious.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, so that's what. So it's like, I'm like, isn't it interesting, the branding? It's like, of course they're just technicians, right? But they're geniuses. They're Apple geniuses. And so I really love that. And I'm like, oh, wealth, genius are two words that everyone is going to want to be associated with. Yeah. And so we started Wealth Genius. It's a real estate education platform. We have a few tracks. We teach on multifamily, so I teach everything. My entire process, my systems, I give it all to my students. We also have a land development track and investing in the U.S., right? So all things that I'm doing and that I'm passionate about. Ultimately, I'm going across Canada and very soon into the U.S., and we're doing boot camps, right? Yeah. So as you know, I'm not sure when this is going to be released, but people can go on Eventbrite, type in Alfonso Cuadra or Wealth Genius, and you go to a boot camp. I'm sure there's one somewhere in the city near you.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
I love the fact that A, you made the trip here today, and B, on this side of the mic, I can tell that you have a genuine passion for what you do. We just met today, and I think we hit incredible. It up like we've been recording now for like an hour, 45 minutes. Yeah. And like, we just hit it off as if we've been old friends. And I think you just have this warm, kind candor about you. And,
well, I appreciate that. I mean, that's what I told you. Like, why don't we know each other? Like, what's going on?
Isn't that wild? It's funny. We've been under the radar. We haven't crossed paths.
I know. But now we finally did. And I'm happy that I did. And I'm happy that I accepted. You know, I'm grateful, and I've not just a guest on your show, but I've met a new friend.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Where can people find out more about you?
Hey, look, Google me.
Google.
Right? I'm very Googleable. If I'm not on your favorite platform, shame on me, because I'm everywhere. I have a YouTube channel. I have over 1,000 videos on that YouTube channel. I suggest people go there. Alfonso Cuadra on YouTube. You subscribe to my channel. It's free. And watch some of my videos. If anything I say on those videos resonates with you, reach out.